Hello, leaders. Dr. Mickey Parsons here with the Workplace Coach again. And today I'm talking with Addison Meriwether. He's the Executive Director with Cushman Wakefield of Atlanta. Addison, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here with us today.
Glad to be here with you, Coach.
So Addison is what I would call a time and priority management expert, as well as a business development guru. He gets more done in the average day than just about anybody else I know of. He is busy leading a successful team at work. He also is super involved in community, and he's busy raising a young family. So Addison, I'd love for you to share with some of our leaders how you do it all.
So thanks, Mickey. Glad to be here this morning. You definitely make things sound very flattering, and I appreciate that. Doesn't always feel that easy, but yeah, I've been doing corporate real estate for almost 20 years now, and the job is 100% commission. So no direct real management other than general production expectations. But I do operate on a core team of 3, and oftentimes we have other team members involved who bring different skill sets. So definitely dealing with different skills, different personalities, and a lot of different people in any given project. My job primarily is, I would say 65% business development, relationship management. The balance is transaction execution, but that does fluctuate depending kind of just how things are in circumstances. I'm also, as you mentioned, involved in nonprofits and in the community, and I actually chair 2 of those. So just giving all the circumstances and everything that goes on in my daily life and the different buckets I tap into, and the different work streams, I definitely get pulled in different directions. So it requires a lot of management, and to be compartmentalize things so that you don't get pulled in many directions. And time is all we got. Time is how I value. It is money for me, so it's something I have to spend a lot of time managing. And you've done a great job over the last year and a half, 2 years, helping me kind of package that so that it helps me do my job more effectively.
Excellent. Very good. You know, I hear the passion in your voice as you're talking about your day in and day out, what you're doing in the community, et cetera. I'm curious if, when you think about advice that you might give to others who are trying to do similar things. They are growing a career, they're growing a business, busy at home, busy with community, et cetera. Are there any tips or tricks or advice tidbits that you might give them?
So and a lot of it's what you and I have worked on for the last 2 years. And first and foremost is setting a plan. Set a plan and also check in on yourself. So a lot of people set an annual business plan or goal, and you do it in January or you do it in December for the next year, and you generally don't check it till November. But one of the things that I've adopted is regularly monitoring my effectiveness and what's working, what's not working, and figuring out what needs to be tweaked and readdressed and moved in a different direction. Then it's, I really started off a few years ago monitoring my time, really tracking my time through an app and figuring out where I tended to be using my time and where I was using it in a way that was ineffective. And what I found is that I was being pulled in multiple directions. So I'd be on a BD project, and then someone would ask me a client transaction question, and I would jump to it. And it's really hard. I think any human being has trouble shifting gears in the middle of a process. So, and I think that's unhealthy. I think you're more effective when you are focused on a certain task or certain skill set or work stream. So to compartmentalize those into different areas, and that comes down to the time blocking. So I spend my Sundays blocking out how I'm going to work the rest of the week on my calendar. So I'll focus on business development for 3 or 4 hours on a Monday morning. I'll make sure that I'm doing mostly transaction work on Tuesday. And when I do that, it also pulls away that guilt. So I know that Tuesday comes around and I'm doing transaction work. I can say I spent a lot of time on Monday doing business development. So you kind of get that out of the way. And I've always, business development is fun, but it's also takes work. and takes energy and you have to be devoted and committed to it. So I always kind of like attack the hardest stuff first, and then work from there. And so I think that's an effective way. As I said, time blocking and being able to focus on specific tasks and dedicating your time to that particular task and not get diverted with other things is very effective. And then the other piece is delegating and prioritizing, figuring out what needs to be done now or what can be put on the back burner, and what's important, what's not important. And then the delegation piece. The big thing about that is communicating, figuring out how you communicate when you delegate something, when you want a response or when you want a work product result, and when you want to check back in. I think that's really important.
Excellent. You said so many things here that I think are important for takeaways. Focus, delegation, being brave enough to actually evaluate your time and look at those graphs and charts and adapt based on the impact that you're having. And something else is that strategic piece, spending that time on Sunday afternoon and revisiting it probably every day of the week is key. I think it was Gallup who came out with the statistic a few years ago saying that 50% of what managers and leaders do in an organization is basically unproductive. It's a waste of time. So taking this approach really begins to transform that. But sometimes we don't want to look under the hood, and we're afraid to do that as leaders, I think.
Now, I'm a routine person, and so that's a great trait to have, but it's also dangerous because you get into a routine and you don't change, and you kind of take on this view that this is what I do every day. And if you don't stop and evaluate what's working and it's not working, you can just find yourself going down a road that is not productive.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that is such a critical piece is evaluate the impact, really get in and look at the numbers and let them speak for themselves. Terrific. Addison, anything else? Any other parting thoughts?
I was just going to say is what I found valuable when doing that is doing a SWOT analysis on yourself, figuring out what you're good at and what you're not good at. And, there's that old adage that figure out what you're not good at and figure out someone else who can do it better. And I think you have to stop and look at that from a perspective is, are you offloading something that you're not good at and won't be good at, or is it something that you need to improve? And so I think that's something that you have to stop and pause when you're going through that process. And I think it's important. And the other piece is, I hear a lot about balance. How do you have a balanced life? And I really don't think there is such thing as true balance. I think anybody that I think uses that terminology is just hiding behind an obligation they don't want to fulfill, because I think it all comes down to passion. If you're passionate about your job, you're going to do what it takes to be better at it and be more effective and deliver. If you're passionate about something on the community, you're going to do that as well. If you're passionate about your family, and each has its moments. There are times where I'm more passionate about certain things than others, but it's all about figuring out what you need to do and where your passion is, and what you can accomplish and where you're most effective. And some portions of my buckets get are sacrificed at certain times, and you make up for it later on, based on where that passion leads you back towards whatever that might be. But I think it's hard to say I want to be good at my job, I want to be good with my family, I want to be good in the community, and I want to be good at all of it, and I want to have balance. You just can't say I want to be good and draw a line in the sand and call it balance, because I think you have to be smart with your time, and to be dedicated and effective with anybody in any situation, you have to be true to yourself. And I think if you're trying to say that I'm going to be balanced and I'm going to draw a line, how honest are you being with yourself and that commitment you've made?
Absolutely. I when you're talking about this, what I hear is what I think of balance. I really think more of harmony, as you're saying.
Yeah.
Sometimes family's getting 80%, sometimes work's getting 90%, but it's moving back and forth between those buckets. And you're right, that distinction that we just can't be good at everything, and we can't always have egalitarian type of equal balance. Fantastic. I think those are good points. Great golden nuggets for us all today. I really appreciate your time being here, and I'm excited. I know all of the leaders who are watching this are thrilled and going to be better at what they're doing now because of it. So thank you so much.
Happy to do it.
All right. Have a great one, Addison.
Great. Thank you. You too.